Hi friends, there is no fun way to say this, but I just found out that I have a tumor the size of a melon growing on my right ovary. For anyone navigating this, I actually divided the video into chronological order. I start off with my initial symptoms, followed by my official diagnosis and the treatment plan I was given. Now, if you want to look at the timestamps, I'll have them available on the video description below. So, what is a dermoid cyst exactly? Let's go ahead and break that down. Dermoid refers to anything that is like skin, whereas a cyst is a sac-like growth of membranous tissue. Meshing that both together, an ovarian dermoid cyst is a sac-like growth on the ovary that contains components that you typically find on the skin level. So that includes hair, oil, nerves, and finally, sometimes even bones. There's still a lot we don't know about the formation of a dermoid cyst. However, research heavily suggests that it is congenital, meaning that it starts developing right when you're in the womb, while dermoids do tend to grow at a very slow rate annually. Because I had it for such a long time, it grew the size that it was. And finally, while being typically non-cancerous, the only way to remove it is via surgery. If I could give my initial symptoms a two-part description, it would be number one, they were vague and inconsistent. Number two, I actually considered every other disease before I even remotely thought that the problem could be right down in my ovaries. At the end of 2021, I was actually experiencing extreme stress and burnout due to my job at the time. I had intense fatigue, long periods of lightheadedness, and severe loss of appetite. By November 2021, it was becoming clear that this sickness is becoming chronic. And that is when I decided that there is no job out there that I would willingly risk my physical and mental well-being for. Beginning 2022, I was actually able to switch jobs. And now, while internally I thought that this transition would cause my symptoms to subside, I still really felt strongly that I had to see my nurse practitioner just for due diligence. She gives me a call and I describe all of my symptoms to her, and she orders a blood test. At this level, we had 4 possible culprits. So the first one would be liver or pancreas problems. The second one is anemia. The third one is thyroid problem, and the fourth one would be stress and overworking. Flash forward to January 2022, my blood tests came out normal. So I heard the usual, you're young, you're active, you have nothing to worry about. Maybe just get more sun. I moved on until a week later, the Big Bang decided to reoccur inside my abdomen. It was a Sunday, so I typically do a full body workout, which involves lots and lots of ab exercises. And just a few hours later, while I was taking a nap, I shot up with extreme abdominal pain. It felt like being stabbed multiple times in my central and lower abdominal regions. And so I asked myself, did I forget to pee? Did I eat anything that could have irritated my digestive system? Did I pull a muscle during my workout and it's only manifesting right now? I took a couple of Tylenols and I made a blood pact with my family that if the pain didn't subside within a couple of hours, we would go to the hospital. When the pain subsided a few hours later and eventually disappeared 24 hours later, there wasn't much I thought of it. But my nurse practitioner ended up hearing about what happened, and she told me to come for a pelvic exam. Whenever she would press on my left lower abdomen, I would feel extreme discomfort bordering light pain. That eliminates every other organ in your abdominal cavity except for your ovaries. And she said you need to get a pelvic ultrasound right away. I have the same exact experience with my ultrasound technician, but there really wasn't anything that I could do except to wait for the official report, which came a few days later. My nurse practitioner told me that I had an 11 centimeter dermoid tumor that was growing on my right ovary and that I needed to see a gynecologist ASAP for treatment. The first thing my gynecologist told me when I went in was, we no longer see any normal ovarian tissue on your right ovary, and we need to remove it via surgery right away. The surgical procedure would be called a unilateral oophorectomy cystectomy, which refers to a complete surgical removal of both the tumor as well as my right ovary. He also told me that I got extremely lucky because the intense abdominal pain that I experienced was more than likely an ovarian torsion. Now, the structures supporting the ovaries are not meant to carry a heavy weight, and on top of that, this tumor was oil filled, and so it was very mobile and it tends to slide and glide around as you move. And so what he supposes happened is that during my workout, when I was moving so much, this tumor slid and glided and eventually twisted on itself multiple times, causing that intense pain. Eventually, what could happen is that it could rupture and damage nearby blood vessels. In my case, for some reason, it managed to untwist itself and remove all of that pain that I was feeling without damaging any blood vessels. Being an anxious person in general, cycling through this diagnosis chapter and going through my first surgery really tossed me into a tornado of daily anxiety. My reflex would have been to just throw this all under a rug and keep being a functional human being. This experience taught me to stop and feel and recognize. These chapters pass and we remain. Thanks guys for tuning in. I just want to say that I've decided to make this Dermoid Cyst experience into an entire series. So I will have some post-surgery tips, diet tips, what to remember during a laparoscopy procedure, etc. If you have any other ideas, please don't hesitate to put it in the comments below. And if you want to keep following, please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next vlog.